In this episode, we're going to distinguish between smart and ready. Just because your teen with ADHD is smart doesn't necessarily mean that they are ready for what's next. And when they mess up, the sting of failure and rejection sensitivity can really hinder their growth in profound ways. I'm going to tell you how to make sure that your child continues to prosper and progress and not plummet in their next stage of development. I'm Annie Adjen. I work with parents and teens to help them deeply understand ADHD, learn to manage it really well, and ultimately tap into its many gifts. At the end of every school year, I get to celebrate with my many students that I've coached as they walk across the stage, receive their diploma, and graduate from high school. Friends and family all congratulate them, and then the most common question is always, so what's next for you? What are your college plans? When the graduate's response is, well, I'm going to attend the local community college for a couple of years, Coach Annie wants to congratulate them all over again. And here's why. Kids with ADHD are often very smart, but they're not always very ready to manage all of academics and all of life all at the same time and all by themselves. The frontal lobes and the prefrontal cortex, the parts of the brain responsible for executive functioning, planning, organization, emotional regulation, and all of adulting as life unfolds, are developing so much more slowly compared to neurotypical teens. In fact, research and brain scans show that those regions of the brain are often delayed as much as 2 years or more. Now, let me be very clear. I am not suggesting that all students with ADHD have to start at a community college. Some students will absolutely thrive at a 4-year university, but only if there are lots of supports, lots of accountability, and lots of proactive planning that includes a well-defined plan and backup plan. Think about it. If the ADHD adolescent brain is late to bloom by about 2 years, then slowing down the pace and allowing your child more time to complete college is actually the right degree plan for their neurotype. So here's a few ways that you can do that. Take a gap year. They can work or travel. Perhaps take 3 college classes at a time instead of 4 or 5. Consider starting at a junior college and then transfer into a university. Liberal arts schools that have smaller classes and lower student to professor ratios are a great option for ADHD brain. They often tend to provide a lot more individual attention to each student. You could also consider choosing a college with built-in support programs for students with ADHD and autism. There are many of these all over the country, and they have specifically designed wraparound services just for neurodivergent students. And I've linked several of those in the program notes below. The takeaway is this: parents need to help create a college plan that allows them more time. Yes, perhaps even more than 4 years, with many embedded scaffolds like advisors, student resource centers, coaches, medication protocols, even therapists. And parents, just because junior is off to college does not mean that you get to take a back seat. One of the most important things to do way before dorm move-in day is to devise a plan with your son or daughter for college success. And that plan's also going to include a backup plan so that if this college selection turns out to be not such a great choice or fit, they can pivot. If they have an abysmal semester, the agreed upon plan already says they'll automatically transfer to a local community college, just temporarily for a second semester. Let's say they stop answering your phone calls, or stop taking their medication, or they don't use or refuse all the support systems in place. Then perhaps the backup plan already states that they'll come on back home to work on those skills. For your launching teen, proactive planning matters so much, because if a college student with ADHD bombs out, and actually about a third of them do their first year, they're going to experience it as a monumental, personal, and permanent failure. Statistics show that many never ever return to finish their degree. They can measure up to college level work, but shame, rejection sensitivity, self-loathing, denial, and remorse are going to keep them from bouncing back, asking and receiving help, and ever trying again. However, when families pre-plan these very possible scenarios, students are given permission to pivot without losing face. without losing steam, and without giving up. College can become the very season of life where their executive functioning skills burgeon forth and really catch up, but only if we scaffold those years carefully, proactively, and collaboratively. The danger for parents is falling into the trap of thinking, well, she got into college, she did it, and she's determined to prove that she's gonna make it work. Of course you wanna believe her. And in fact, it's really good parenting to validate her. You want this, you earned it, you can do it, and I believe in you. We want their success as much as they want it. But parents, do not forget that the ADHD brain is notoriously over-optimistic about what they can manage on any given day or any given semester. Think about the 5 most important skills required for college success: managing time, starting tasks without reminders, staying organized, following through on work that's difficult or boring, and regulating oneself, one's emotions, when life gets really hard, stressful, or overwhelming. These are executive functioning skills, and they are exactly the skills that ADHD delays the most. College and career success depends far less on intelligence than most people think, and far more on consistently executing these very skills day after day after day. So I've got a tool that will guide you through school and course selection and allow you to objectively measure how your student is performing in the readiness category and not just the smart category of life and school. It is called my 80% rule. The 80% rule asks, what can my child do with 80% quality, 80% consistency, and 80% autonomy? Independence. You can use this 80% rule to also gauge smartness. Are they earning at least a B- consistently in any course? And if not, that's going to help guide course selection. If a high school student struggles to maintain a B grade in AP World History all throughout the semester, then most likely on-level world history is actually the better fit next semester. But with ADHD, it is even more important to apply this 80% rule to readiness. So, can they wake up by themselves with 80% consistency? Can they manage their own laundry, budget, take a shower daily, have an organized backpack and bedroom, get exercise, and self-care at 80% quality, consistency, and independence? Also, can they ask for help before it's too late at 80%? Success. I actually walk families through this launching readiness checklist, and now you can download it too for free in the description below. If the answer is yes, then maybe they are ready for that honors class, ready to get their driver's license, ready for apartment living, ready for dating or a job, or to go off to college. The goal is not perfection. The goal is 80% readiness, and you need a tool based on evidence and recent data that's going to help you and your teen determine the next appropriate step so that they don't bite off more than they can chew. Because remember, their growth path is different, so you need a different way to measure their growth. That's why this 80% threshold matters so much. It allows for a full 20% margin of error. That seems like a lot, but necessary for ADHD. Perfection is never the objective. Requiring 100% at anything in life is going to shut down a young person who's neurodivergent and make them feel like a failure. But 80%, that's the sweet spot for success. This tool helps teens honestly assess where they're at right now, whether they need a little more mastery, or whether they're truly ready for the next challenge. Your job, mom and dad, is not to dash their dreams. Your job is to help them realize their dreams. With a neurodivergent brain, the path to the summit is different, but that path is very well defined. So don't let cultural pressure or comparison pull your teen off the path that's best suited for their neurology. Your son or daughter can absolutely become just as successful as neurotypical Timmy next door. But the timeline and the path have to align with their readiness factors and not just their smarts, not just their intelligence. So let me quickly give you a couple of examples from my own coaching families. The following student names have been changed. Tina is about to enter the 9th grade. Her dad wants her to attend the most prestigious private college prep school in the whole state. Tina has the grades to get in and could probably pass all the entrance exams. So yes, she's smart enough, but during 8th grade year, she missed a full month, 3 consecutive weeks of school because her anxiety was crushing. And throughout that time, she was also undergoing evaluations and eventually diagnosed with ADHD. She struggles with emotional outbursts, and she spends hours every night after school on homework. So let's take a look at Tina's readiness score. 80% quality in schoolwork? Yes. 80% consistency? No. 80% autonomy in managing emotions and workload and self-regulation? Not even close. She's not ready. This is where parents confuse school load with executive functioning load. The two are very different. The academic load smartness may say yes, but the readiness data tells us no. Okay, my next example is Devin. He's a very sweet senior, just graduated, and he is headed off to one of the country's top engineering schools. His smartness rating is way over 80%, way over 100%, but his readiness factor is still way under 80%. So his parents are already working very hard, intentionally scaffolding heavily now before his freshman year of college. And his parents are smart to do that because ADHD brains are interest-based brains. Devin wants to go to this college. When a student is deeply motivated and highly interested, well, that's a good reason to get behind them and to help propel them toward their goals. Devin's parents are already coordinating with the school, a coach. They have a whole support system in place before he ever has a chance to fall behind next semester and lose his confidence. So the bottom line is stop asking only, is my young adult child smart enough to cut it? And start asking, are they ready enough? Because when we align our expectations with their readiness, instead of just intelligence alone, we stop setting these kids up for failure, which in ADHD and autism only breeds shame and shutdown. And now you know how to set them up for sustainable success. Listen, make sure you grab my readiness checklist linked in the show description to set your child up for sustainable success with the use of that 80% rule of quality, consistency, and autonomy. Sit down with your teen and you can together honestly and accurately assess where they are right now before the next big decisions get made. It'll take just 10 minutes. And it's going to give you the plan and the backup plan too that you both need. The link is below. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe so that you don't miss what's coming up next. As always, I'm wishing you all A's in your every parenting endeavor.